Hey everybody, welcome to another CrushLivePoker.com hand review. And today I'm actually going to be going over 3 hands that I played online. Most of the country, obviously, you can't really play live poker. So I've been reviewing more and more online hands, and I feel like on a lot of these mobile apps, these agent apps, when you play full ring, it's pretty similar to live, especially 50 cent a dollar, 1, 2, and sometimes up to 2, 4. This particular video is going to look at concentrating on when it would be a bad spot to bluff and when it's a good spot to bluff, and also when it's not a good spot to bluff, how we maximize when we actually have value. So enjoy. All right, let's move here to our next hand evidence that I was multi-tabling. As you can see, I'm on a different account now, the Bart Hanson account, but this is still 50 cent a dollar. And this guy's going to open it up here. So obviously fairly deep, 200 big blinds, and I cover. I'm on the button, and I flat call with ace-3 of spades here on the button. One of the few flats that you might actually have in there. And the big blind here is also going to call. You can see here that we're 8-handed. So the board comes out king, jack, 7 here with a couple diamonds and 1 spade. And obviously I'm just done with it, right? Like I'm going to be done with it. And it gets checked over to me, and I decide to check it back. I don't think that I'm going to be getting many folds here against 2 players. So I check it back. Pretty simple stuff. Turns the 6 of spades. So I pick up the nut flush draw. And now they both checked me again. And if you listen to the podcast from this Tuesday, I mean, I did a very extensive segment on paying attention to the action and what are the sort of natural checks to the preflop raiser and what are the unknown hands, what are the unknown ranges because of the natural checks. So in this case, because this guy checks the flop to the preflop raiser, we don't know anything about his hand because he's naturally checking to the preflop raiser on the flop. And then I check it back, right? Now, when I check it back, we do know something about my hand because the preflop raiser has already checked on the flop. I am checking after the preflop raiser. And I made the contention in the podcast from this week, depending on the board and the situation, that a lot of times you have a profitable bet in this guy's perspective on the turn when the top card doesn't change as top pair, because you know the preflop raiser's checked and the guy who's left to act behind the preflop raiser is also checked. He has somewhat of a defined hand. This is normally on a ragged board, like 8 deuce 3, and maybe the turn's a 6 or something like that. Maybe not necessarily on this board. But I don't know about the strength of this guy's hand just because he checked the flop, because he's first to act before the preflop raiser. But now he's checked again. And the preflop raiser is checked again. So of course I'm going to bet. He's checked twice, one being unnatural. Unnatural meaning that one was not automatic. Just like my flop check behind was not automatic because I'm acting after preflop. His first action that's not automatic is on the turn. Something somewhat bizarre happens, he check raises. So I bet 633 and he check raises here to 1899, which is basically a quick cut 3x check raise. So the preflop raiser here is going to fold, and there's a little bit of math here to be done. So the pot's 34, and it is about $12 for me to call. So I'm getting right around 3-1. Now, in some cases, we might think that our ace is good here. We're like, oh, we've got actually more outs than just the nut flush draw. But I want to point something out. This is a check raise on the turn that was a double check. Not a double check raise, meaning he hasn't check raised twice, but he checked twice and then raised the turn. And the reason why I point that out is that I think that represents way more strength, because I think if he just had like king queen here or king 10, he's going to come out and bet the turn. I don't think he's going to put that into a check raise. This is actually a hand where he's going for a turn check raise to build the pot up. It's probably a very strong hand. So because I think it's a very strong hand, if I do call, I'm looking for my implied odds, right? I mean, I need 4-1. I need to make 4-1 from the pot to go for if all my outs are clean, to go for a flush draw. And when we look at pot odds, what that means is that if I'm calling 12 here, I need to make $48 from the entire pot. 12 to 48, 4 times 12 is 48 if I need 4 to 1. Well, when I'm calling, I'm already winning 35. So I only need to make like an additional 13 to 15 on the river in order for this call to be profitable. Very, very small extra money I need to make on the river. When I make the call, the pot's going to be 40, 46 or 47. Like I said, I only need to make 13 to 15. So it's going to be a very small portion of the pot size. I certainly can make that, and I would make more than that too. But going along with the concept of this video, if I continue, which I will, and I miss, and for some reason the guy checks, I'm not bluffing at it. I think that would be ludicrous, especially on a blank card, like an offsuit deuce or something like that. It would be literally like the worst bluff in the world. Okay, the river's the 5 of diamonds. Now, that's not the biggest brick in the world. It brings in 8-9, and it brings in the front door diamond draw. The problem here that I have, though, is that because there's a backdoor, and because I didn't bet the flop, I don't think that I'm going to be getting like sets to fold, 2 pair to fold. I think that this would just be burning money. What I will say, and what we're going to look at next hand, is that this type of run out shows you the power of sometimes starting to structure a bet on the flop with backdoors. Because if we bet the flop here just with backdoors, and again, I don't think we should have bet this flop, but like you'll see next hand, if we start betting the flop with backdoors and continue on the turn because we pick up backdoors, because we've bet the entire hand, we can represent the front door. So it's two-way. You just drive through the front door too. But here I checked the flop. So I just decided here to, and once in a great while, maybe you like beat like queen 10 of spades, something like that. It's not absolutely impossible that we somehow win this hand miraculously. I mean, it's a sliver of showdown value. So I check it back and he's got king jack for top 2. So he did have a strong hand on the turn, went for the double check raise. And obviously, like I said, I think this would be absolutely burning money if for some reason I thought that I was going to go for a bluff at the end. Next hand here. This is exactly what I was talking about. And this is definitely a questionable pre-flop here. 4x open. Got a 4x open here from under the gun, and I'm in the cutoff here with ace deuce of diamonds. This, like I said, is probably just a fold. It's a non-ante game. Even on the button, ace deuce is really the worst suited ace. Again, I'll go back to these players are weak. In a fundamentally tough game, you wouldn't want to play this hand in a non-anteed game from the cutoff as a flat. I do call here in the cutoff the 4x open, which is a pretty large open here, as everybody had folded in between. And we are going to see it heads up. So we're heads up, so I've got that going for me, and I've got position. It's not like I'm in the middle. By the way, this is why you would never want to call with a hand like this. Like if, under the gun open and you're over here, because you could have guys that are going to overcall behind you, and then you're in a nightmarish scenario in the middle. So we go to the flop, and the board comes out 10-4-3 here with a couple of spades. So this is what I was talking about before from the previous hand. Here we have a backdoor, and this time, if check 2, we've got a credible bet here because we also have a wheel draw here with a 5 as well. So backdoor diamonds, gut shot wheel draw here to a 5. This guy now checks. Obviously, if he bets, we're certainly going to continue. And usually, the way that I would look at this is that I would continue, and I would probably represent front door spades as well if he bet out, call and represent the front door spades as well. He's going to check here. So obviously I'm going to start the bet here. By the way, it's funny because I just discovered that you can type in the numbers. I've been playing on the site for like 5 months, and sometimes again, this was on an emulator, but sometimes I struggle with this key. So I bet $6 here in a 950, and he calls. He actually didn't call that quick. That was a little bit of an editing job, like I said, to try to avoid the swiping. Okay, boom, I pick up my my backdoor. What's interesting here, and I'm certainly going to still fire this card, is that when you look at an early position raiser who check calls this flop, right? I mean, he's raising the 4x from under the gun. He check calls the flop. What are the types of hands that he's check calling here with? And you will see it represented a lot of times with like good ace highs, like ace king or even ace queen. So if he's got ace king here and he check called on the flop, now he's picked up a wheel draw. Excuse me, picked up a Broadway draw here on the turn. So we're certainly going to have to plow through, I think, a lot of rivers that don't improve ace king at the end. And you're going to see what happens though, because we've got multiple ways here to actually make we got multiple ways to make the best hand in the form of a backdoor diamond or a 5. But we've also played the hand like we can have front door spades here as well. Like, you're going to see one of the best river cards come off on the deck. Because what are the other draws here too? 5, 6, right? So this guy checks. And again, yes, I'm going to barrel here. I think that he's going to fold out any pairs that he has below a 10. And I'm going to be setting up here a triple barrel on a lot of river cards. And you just don't see many guys, even at this level, check like over pairs here on this flop all that much. And they probably shouldn't. Because again, when I said when you're looking at board, you're trying to look at how many combinations of 2-pair, and are there any combinations of straights on the board? Here, there's none from this configuration as a field cutoff caller. So I come out and I bet pretty close to pot here. I think about 3/4. I bet $17, and he makes the call again. And what kind of draw was I talking about there that I could have on here on the flop? It's 5, 6. The river here is the deuce of spades. I mean, if I wanted to hand pick the best bluff cards in the deck for me, it would be the 7 or the deuce of spades. Completing the front door, completing the 5, 6 straight. Yes, I did pair my deuce, and yes, I occasionally could beat ace king here if he does have ace king, but I just feel like I am going to get almost everything to fold out here at the end. It's very, very hard for him to call. I mean, literally everything has gotten there. And this is why you start these backdoor bluffs, because you can get these types of runouts, and this is how you sort of stay inherently balanced, because there's a lot of people that just aren't going to have bluffs here at all, right? But this is how you structure it. This is how you end up with having a bluff here. It's taking the right hands that you've started a bet with on the flop. So I'm going to polarize here, and I basically go pot. I don't buy, and I can polarize to like a straight plus or set plus, whatever. I just don't buy that this guy's checking a flush draw, and he folds pretty quickly. And of course, I love this too. I show my hand, stick it right in his face. All right, let's take a look here at our next hand. And this one is a doozy of a hand here. And definitely some questionable stuff here pre-flop for sure. This is at one of these anonymous tables, but the point being here is going to be when it looks like you are bluffing and you're not, when you basically end up with value at the end, obviously how you're going to maximize and how this would not be a good spot to bluff getting to the end. So when I was talking about some questionable play here, and again, like I said, I point out this was really when I was going full blown here. So I'm playing 8 tables at a time, even though you only see one bros thing. So there's the occasional misclick and things like that. I'm not sure exactly if this was what that was, because normally this would just be a fold for me. So we've got a limp, and then it goes 350, and I call, and this probably should be played as a 3-better fold here. Again, in live play, I very well might call with a lot of weak players. This is an anonymous table on bros. There wasn't a whole lot of squeezing though, 9-handed, so I don't think that calling can really be all that bad here with the suited ace, but I just wanted to point that out. So 350, so this is 50 cents a dollar. 350 call. This guy 3-bets here, over here to 16, and it's going to get back over to us. We're going to get a call in between, And now with the suited ace here, 1250 for 38 from out of position, I'm going to obviously take the flop here and I call. So once again, we're in the middle in a 3-bet pot. And, the pot's $50 here. Obviously, we're going to check it over to this guy who is the pre-flop 3-better. And he is going to c-bet here, and he's going to c-bet 12. And a call over here from this guy. So basically, it's a pretty, a very, very small c-bet here. He starts, which is kind of almost equilibrium sizing. He's betting extremely small, 25% of the pot, multi-way on a board like this. This guy calls. Obviously, I have to call here with top pair. I also have a backdoor spade draw here too. And I think I'm going to be calling here with any overpair, any top pair, and like if I had a straight draw like 6-7. Sevens and sixes are, when it goes bet call, are probably, I would say, going to be folded out. But ace-8, especially with the backdoor, is some additional equity. I mean, it's interesting because sixes would be a gut shot, so it would be like 4-6 would be, I guess, sixes, sevens, because they have the same amount out. Sixes, sevens, an 8 plus an overpair, and obviously 6-7 would be called here. So I'm going to make the call, and I do make the call, and I know that I'm sort of kind of in a world of hurt here. I mean, I know I have to defend, but there aren't a ton of good turn cards here for me. Obviously, I'd like to catch an 8 or an ace or a spade to be able to continue. But even if the turn is like a brick, a low disconnected card, and he fires again, and especially if this guy calls, I think I probably just have to be done with it. If he fires again on a deuce or a 3 and this guy folds, I have to continue to call down, but I'm not loving life. So the turn's a king, and I mean that's a perfect barrel card for this guy, obviously. Where if he were to bet, I would, if he bets here and this guy calls, obviously I'm done with it. If he bets, it depends on the sizing, and he folds, I might have to continue to call one more down, but that's the issue with playing against capable players too. I mean, your hand is played somewhat transparent, and we're not going to have a lot of king X, so it's pretty tough. But it's going to get checked through here. So it goes check, check, and this guy is going to check it back. And you can see that the pot's 86.50, and this is why it brought me here to the river. So the river's an 8. And this guy is going to check here once again. And this is not just because I made a full house. This is a beautiful card. I don't really have a ton of 8x here in my range. 7-8, if it's even called full ring when it goes limp. I mean, I'd much rather have ace-8 suited here than 7-8. And people will play 7-8 suited. I understand that. But if you remember pre-flop, it went limp, raised to 350. 7-8 suited is actually supposed to just be folded out here. I'm not saying that you're going to see it folded out a lot at this level, but it's supposed to be. We don't have a lot of 8s here. We don't have a lot of 5s here either. So if this guy is checking back on the turn and he has like 10s, 9s, 10s, jacks through queens or something like that, or for whatever reason he checked back like ace, king, he hit it and he checked it back. These guys both have just pot-sized bets left. I feel like he's going to call. One of these guys is going to call. Remember, this guy called too. It went bet call on the flop. I called. Turns at kings, gets checked through. River's an 8, and now he's checked. And the reason why I say that is that there's much less of a chance that he has an 8 when we have an 8. I'm talking about this guy. And he's also checked the river. So an 8 is more likely than not going to bet the river. Maybe sometimes he'll play it tricky and cagey and check it, but we have an 8 too. So it's both those things. Less combos of 8s available, and he's checked the river. Means it's very unlikely that he has an 8 here. So what did he call the flop with if he doesn't have an 8? Does he have a 5? We don't care if he's missed a straight draw, like 6-7. The point making is that I think I'm going to get called here for one of these players. It's great that the pot is like, that these stack sizes are like pot size. And I think that not moving all in here would be a huge mistake. Absolutely criminal. If you want to maximize, you have to understand these situations. This is absolutely an all in for sure. To the point where if we even had maybe 2 times, I would say maybe up to like a 2x pot size bet. mean, this is a very easy all-in with a pot size bet, but even if he had 2x the pot, I think I would still jam here because it's just representing such a thin value range, and I really think that I'm going to get called in one spot. And for that reason, I would never really bluff in this spot. Even though it might be inherently unbalanced, I just think that I'm going to get called. So this is how we can sort of exploit this spot in the situations where we think that we're going to get called, we're going to bet more, and we're going to pull it back and bluff less when we have less fold equity. Whether that's an exploit, you know what I'm trying to say in terms of balancing, because the theory is that you're supposed to be balanced in this spot with bluffs too. So this guy folds out, which I wasn't thrilled when he folded out because he was really the one that I thought was going to call. But this guy calls, and this guy has king 5. King 5. So he opened king 5, called the 3-bet from out of position too, which just goes to show you that I should be 3-betting this hand. But the point being here, post flop is that he flop trip 5s, filled on the river, and then he got screwed at the end. Boy, I'm kind of surprised that he checks here at the end. I just don't think that many people have 8s here. If I'm him, somehow obviously I'm not going to be in this pot in a 3-bet pot, but what I'd be thinking about, maybe if it's a slightly different configuration or distribution, is that I beat a 5 here. This is one of these interesting ones here in Hold'em. Not that there are going to be many 5s, but it's an interesting scenario where if I have ace 5 here, this guy has the best hand. Because if I have ace 5, I'm playing 5s full of 8s. This guy's playing 5s full of kings. It's one of these weird ones that you don't necessarily see every day. But it works. So I'm just saying that I would have bet the river if I was him. It's going to get checked through so often. I'd probably come out and kind of make a small bet. But definitely I have to maximize, in my spot for sure.